Toby Ward, you just gave a presentation about the pros and cons of the MOS platform.
Indeed.
In overall, what are the overall pros and cons of the MOS platform?
Well, in short, MOS is a combination of dichotomies, really. It is a very complex, robust platform, but at the same time, in its execution, for many services, it's overly simplistic as well. Web content management comes to mind, enterprise content management comes to mind. It is both inexpensive and very expensive, depending on what you want to do. Good for a smaller organization, very expensive for a large enterprise. The more customization and the more added in suites, bundles, applications that are required, the more expensive it becomes. And it is both user-friendly and difficult to use, again, depending on what you want to do. So it can be many things to many different organizations, but MOS is essentially an ideal situation for a work group, division, or department level scenario, or a small to medium-sized business of a couple hundred to a couple of thousand employees that are predominantly working in a Microsoft environment and need to extend the functionality of Microsoft Office and or Outlook and Exchange.
Okay.
It makes a lot of sense for those organizations. But that doesn't represent all of the organizations of the world, of course.
Okay. So that would be the kind of the sweet spot of the MOS platform.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's less appropriate for larger enterprise scenarios, organizations with 5,000 or more employees that want an enterprise intranet solution for enterprise content management, application integration, advanced user personalization, etc. There are other solutions for organizations like that that are probably better suited. But like I like to say is, ultimately MOS is a Microsoft Office SharePoint Server 2007, MOS, is a web development platform. So it is in essence what you make it. But like anything, what you make it is the key to success, and that's just a function of time and money more than anything, and the skill set necessary to execute.
Yeah. Just had people raise their hands. It looks like most of the people here anyway, and a lot of organizations in Denmark have the MOS platform.
Yes, about
already.
2/3 or 3/4. Yeah,
so
very
if
impressive.
If you have that platform in your organization, what should you look for as where can you get some results from from using the platform? What is the low-hanging fruit, so to say, of the platform?
There are a number of low-hanging fruits with MOS. Firstly, it gets you in the game, so you have an intranet fairly quickly out of the box. And I would suggest for most organizations, I wouldn't undertake a lot of customizations to begin with, because that's going to delay your time to market or implementation and going to drive up the costs. The easy stuff out of the box, of course, is publishing web pages and content to those pages. Team sites, so groups and departments and divisions can create their own sites fairly easily. The search that transcends all of that, that's able to surface the content through the search engine, and other collaboration features, albeit very simplistic to start, blogs and wikis that more and more organizations are taking interest in. Also, with MOS comes Forms Server, and with the InfoPath Suite plugin, you can do a lot of forms processing, and that's something that a lot of organizations need, and there's a lot of potential ROI, return on investment, money back in those forms processing, because traditionally most of an HR department's function is processing paper, and that could be pricey. Yeah. And wasteful too, if you think about the environmental considerations. And so Forms Server and InfoPath allow you to eliminate paper forms or email forms or PDF forms and make it all automated, and that's a real advantage to MOS that few organizations are using as of yet or have tapped into. So if you've got it, that's something I would look at. Identify the top 12 most used forms or downloaded forms in the organizations, automate them, and you'll find significant satisfaction from users and potentially return on investment as well.
If you're one of those organizations who maybe haven't chosen Moss or haven't chosen another system and are in the market for a system, what kind of approach? We just heard a company, an American company today, they said don't buy software, build it yourself. What kind of approach would you recommend that you take, and what kind of considerations in that process should you take?
That was the case study from American Electric Power that has done a fantastic job with their intranet. They've built it all themselves rather than buy any software. And it's very rare. They have a very talented team, a triumvirate of 3 individuals, corporate communications, a developer and a designer, that have done a fantastic job. Usually that type of skill set and that level of skill set does not exist in an average organization, and they're not able to do that with 3 individuals, at least an intranet of that size. So it's one of the reasons why it's such an award-winning intranet, because it is so unique and so good. But for every award winner and best of class, there are thousands that aren't. So for those that can't and don't have that type of skill set in-house, buying a solution does make sense. Again, Microsoft Office SharePoint Server 2007 Moss is not for everybody, and there are many, many other solutions, fewer portal solutions, but a good 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 decent alternatives, depending on the type of environment that you're in, and many hundreds, if not thousands, of content management system solutions, depending on your need. But I would start by, one, asking yourself, what do you need to do as an organization? If, for example, you're a Unix or Java-based organization, then maybe WebSphere Portal, or one of the solutions from Oracle, or an open source solution like LifeRay makes sense for you. But if you're a Microsoft organization that's a little bit smaller, small to medium size, maybe that makes sense for you too. But really, when we look at a piece of software or a solution for an organization, we have a very involved, in-depth matrix that rates and scores hundreds of criteria and rates one vendor or solution versus the other, so you can see at a glance how they're doing. And we go through quite a process, an RFP, or what we call a request for proposal, whereby we submit a document to the vendors and say, this is what we want, now give us your proposal, your price line, the timeline, how you handle it, how the solution will meet the needs of the organization. And we get those vendors working for that business. And again, we evaluate hundreds of criteria. So it's very difficult to say what is the right solution for a typical organization, because there actually is no typical organization anymore. Everyone's a little bit different.
They could give you a call.
They certainly could give us a call, or come to prescientdigital.com.